In this video, we go over 5 secrets every dungeon master should learn. Knowing your players is the cornerstone of successful DMing. This means more than just understanding their character sheets. It involves getting to know them as people and understanding what they seek in a game of D&D. Every player comes to the table with unique preferences and playstyles. Some players might love combat encounters, tactical decision making, and rolling dice. Others prefer diplomatic engagements where they can negotiate, bluff, or charm their way out of a sticky situation. Certain players might have a taste for mystery and intrigue. For them, the game's appeal lies in piecing together clues and revealing the bigger picture. When I'm not DMing, I usually fall in this category. On the other hand, some players prefer a more straightforward adventure. They adore dungeon crawling and facing down monstrous guardians to claim forgotten treasures. All these preferences are completely valid. Understanding the tastes of your players is the key to designing an adventure that will hold your players' interests and keep them engaged session after session. This requires open communication, keen observation, and a willingness to adapt. You should discuss playstyles openly in a session 0 with your party, but also make sure to check in regularly to see if they're enjoying the direction the game is taking. Observe their reactions during different types of encounters. Once you have a firm grasp of what your players enjoy, you can tailor your scenarios and campaign elements to suit those preferences. This is not to say that you should exclusively cater to their preferred playstyles. Variety is the spice of life. It's good to occasionally stretch players beyond their comfort zones. Focus your games around the elements they love most, and you will create a satisfying campaign that will keep them coming back for more. While understanding your players' preferences and crafting your adventures accordingly is vital, this isn't to say that you should have an inflexible plan laid out. The charm of D&D comes from its inherent unpredictability. It's usually filled with exciting twists and a sense of adventure that comes from not knowing what lies around the corner. Preparation is important, yes. A well-designed adventure will have thoughtfully created encounters, compelling NPCs, and plot lines that make players eager to uncover more. Your preparation lays out the foundations for a good session. However, adhering too rigidly to your prepared content can limit the game's potential. Players are individuals with their own minds and creative ideas. They will often make decisions and take actions that you hadn't anticipated. When this happens, it's important to be flexible and adaptable. Instead of trying to push them back onto the path you've planned, let them forge their own. For example, if your players decide to negotiate with the villain instead of fighting, let them try. If they come up with a creative solution to bypass a complex trap, acknowledge their ingenuity. If they become interested in a minor NPC you hadn't fleshed out, be ready to improvise and give that character more depth on the fly. Think on your feet and adapt your plans to the player's actions. Good DMing is about striking a balance between your prepared material and spontaneous player-driven gameplay. This can be challenging, but it's also the most rewarding aspect of being a dungeon master. When players feel they have the freedom to influence the story and the world around them, they become more invested in your campaign. My most memorable D&D moments as a DM or a player happened at the table, not during my prep for the session. Balancing the spotlight among players is a crucial skill for any dungeon master. In a D&D group, you often find a variety of personality types. Some players might be extroverted and assertive, readily stepping into the spotlight. Others might be more reserved, preferring to take a backseat in group interactions. Every player at your table deserves their moment to shine. Each one contributes to the game and its story, and each one should feel valued. The challenge lies in ensuring that everyone gets a chance to influence the narrative and showcase their character's abilities. Assertive players bring a lot of energy and drive to the game, but they can sometimes unintentionally dominate the proceedings. They're often the first to speak up in a conversation, to suggest plans, or to jump into action during encounters. This enthusiasm is a good thing, but it also sidelines quieter players. As dungeon masters, we need to do something about this. One approach is to design scenarios that specifically cater to the quieter players' skills or their character's abilities. abilities. If a player has a role character, adept at stealth and lockpicking, include encounters where these skills are vital. If another has a bard skilled in diplomacy and persuasion, create social encounters where these skills can sway the outcome. Moreover, during the game itself, make sure you direct questions and narrative opportunities towards the quieter players. Encourage them to voice their character's thoughts and to narrate their actions. By making room for them to step forward, you reassure them that their input is important and welcome. Managing the spotlight is a delicate task. It requires you to be attentive to the group's dynamics. You need to be a bit proactive in including the more introverted players. If you do this, the result is a richer, more balanced game where every player feels involved and appreciated. Another important tool in a dungeon master's repertoire is the practice of borrowing elements from various sources. In a game as expansive as Dungeons & Dragons, you are not just limited to the resources provided in the official books and those from third-party publishers. The world is brimming with inspirations that you can use to enhance your campaign. Books, movies, video games, mythology, and even history. These are all great places to borrow ideas for your next session. You can find an inspiration for a compelling NPC in a character from your favorite book, or you might steal a thrilling combat encounter from a video game. Ancient and current religions are brimming with interesting ideas to base your world building on. This is also true of history. Borrowing from these sources allows you to introduce elements that are already tried and tested. They've resonated with audiences before and will likely move your players as well. This is a way to stand on the shoulders of giants. You can leverage the creativity and craft of countless storytellers who came before you. This doesn't mean simply copying and pasting these elements into your game. The skill lies in making them your own. I love stealing boss fights from action RPGs like Hades or Diablo. You just have to reskin them to fit the theme of your current adventure. Tweak the motivations of that borrowed NPC to better fit your world. Reshape that historical event to suit the timeline of the story you're telling with your players. The borrowed elements should serve your narrative, not constrain it. Let your favorite stories inspire you and use them to weave a rich tapestry that will captivate your players. This game isn't solely about combat or following a predetermined path. Good dungeon masters make sure that their encounters have at least a few solutions. As a GM, your role isn't just to create obstacles for your players, but also to support and reward their creative efforts to overcome those obstacles. Include encounters where brute force isn't the best or the only solution. This will encourage your players to consider other approaches. Create opportunities for players to use their characters' skills or their own brains. Encourage them to interact with the environment during encounters, using it to their advantage. This can be anything from tipping over a table for cover during a bar fight to using magic to freeze a lake to halt the enemy's advance. When your players propose a creative solution, try to accommodate it whenever it's possible, even if it means bending the rules slightly. If they want to use a spell in an unconventional way that the rulebook didn't anticipate but makes sense within the game world, allow it. When you reward creativity, you encourage more of it, leading to more memorable moments. The goal of this isn't to make the game easy for your players, it's to make it interesting. Challenges should still require effort and strategy to overcome. If you allow them to overcome obstacles with their creative solutions, you will have a more interesting campaign. All of these secrets will make your future sessions better, but you can also use framing to softly guide players into the directions you want to take the story. Learn more about it in this video.